Hi again. Um, okay, I've got a review. This is for a film called The Witch. I didn't even know this film was out, um, but I was having a look on the on what to watch at the cinema, and I saw a trailer for this film, and I thought, okay, well, I'll give this one a go. I had a feeling it would be a horror, um, and if I'm perfectly honest, from a visually impaired perspective, you need audio description with this movie. Um, it's it's just impossible to uh, to get a good idea of what's going on without somebody telling you what's going on. Um, the the soundtrack, well, it wasn't really a soundtrack, to be honest. I think there was a bit of music at the beginning and there was a bit of music at the end with some like weird um, sound effects um, throughout the film. The acting was good. I enjoyed the acting. I believe it was a full English cast. I say the main character, um, the father in the movie. I've I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. Um, but I do know him. I do recognise his voice. I don't recognise the voices of anybody else in the film. Um, and it's quite funny because I know some of the people watching this video, are, they don't live in the UK, so they're not going to understand what I'm about to say. Those watching this that live in England or whatever, they might have an idea. But I sometimes listen to a show called Talk Sport, and this guy who plays the father in this movie does voiceover for Talk Sport, and his accent in the film is pretty much exactly the same as it is normally in other films that he's done and other voiceovers. So it it was quite funny to hear him talking because every now and then I was just expecting him to go, talk sport, you know. It's but that's what happens. It's like Victor Frankenstein with Daniel Radcliffe. When you can't see, the character on the screen, you're going by obviously their voice, and if they sound anywhere near how they usually do in other films, it's it is pretty easy to view them in your mind as you did when you saw them in another film. Now, some people, some visually impaired people, haven't had that luxury of being able to actually see actors, whereas I have, because I lost my sight, 2 to 3 years ago. So I know exactly what this character in this movie looks like. Like I said, I don't. I'm not aware of the other actors um, in this film, The Witch. Um, but it's I would I recommend a visually impaired person going to watch this film? It's with audio description. Um, yes, Without it, no, I wouldn't. Now the problem is, I went there with the idea of actually getting and using audio description. When I went there, I asked for the headset, and I sat there watching the trailers with a headset on, waiting for the voice to tell me what was going on, and there was no voice. I was just sitting there like, hello, what's going on? I could, because I've got light perception and I can see lights. I can see things on the screen, so I knew something was going on. And obviously there was like the intro music, but there was no actual in-house audio description. So I had to rely on someone else to tell me what was going on. The film itself, it's weird. I don't want to give too much away. The reviews I do, I'm not going to give too much away on the actual storyline, what happens, and I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. So all my review is basically about is whether I personally believe a movie to be worth the time for a visually impaired person to go and spend money on and watch. I would recommend it, but only if there's audio description. So it was a weird film, to be honest, and I've seen a lot of strange films in my time, but this one was just, like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the ending was just, it was very slow to start, and the end just came and bam, I was left thinking, what's going on? It was strange, and that's pretty much all I can really say about it, without giving too much away. But I would recommend going to watch it. It is an English film. I don't even know if it's going to be shown in other countries. I don't see any reason why not. But I don't know really. It's for people not from the UK. It does give a pretty, from what I imagined from the movie, it does give you a good idea of that era, and a lot of English traditions. The accents are from northern England. I'm actually from the Midlands, which is like obviously the middle of England. But I've got a lot of friends and an affinity with northern England. Excuse me. So yeah, I would recommend going to watch it, just for the experience. It's excuse me. It's the only movie I can kind of relate it to in a weird kind of way is, I don't know, I might get some flack for this, but kind of like a Paranormal Activity. I don't know if there will be a sequel to this movie. I can't imagine how they would do that. It's, from what I can gather, it is gory. There are some gory bits in it, and from what I was told while I was watching this film, some of the scenes, they do involve basically there's a mother and a father and a little boy who I believe was about 10 years old, a daughter who was probably mid teens, two twins which were I believe 5 or 6 years old, and there was a little baby. Now, some of the scenes, from what I could gather, mm, I don't know. I think there are certain scenes in this film that are going to be frowned upon by some people. Um, I was told after the movie of one specific scene in it, and to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't think I'd have liked to have seen it. To be honest with you, um, but anyway, on the whole, I I liked it. I did like it. Would I watch it again with proper in-house audio description? Yes, yes. I'd like to get the full feeling of that film with the proper audio description rather than someone just leaning over and saying, "Oh, this is happening, this is happening." Because the problem is with that, if someone's leaning over and telling you what's going on, they're missing what's going on as they're telling you. So then they're telling you, and then something happens, and you're like, "Well, what just happened there?" And they're like, "I don't know, because I was too busy telling you." So it's um, you've got to have in-house audio description really. Um, Unless you're with a woman who can, I don't know, they seem to have this wonderful ability to be able to tell you the bits you've missed, but they can still pay attention to what's on the screen while they're telling you what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but anyway, multitasking and all that. Yeah. Anyway, on the whole, I would recommend this movie. Um, I don't want to. It that it has got like a pagan. It's about a witch. Um, if that kind of thing interests you, um, paganism, it's. I don't want to put my foot in it and open a can of worms and you know speak out of turn because I don't follow all that kind of thing. I'm not really up on all of that kind of thing. But if you are into that, then it's worth a watch. It is worth a watch, and it's a trip to the cinema. It's a night out anyway. But yeah, I would recommend it. At least watch it. Give it a go. So yeah. Well, thanks for listening or watching, and I'll see you again soon.